Congressional Black Caucus and the NAACP have joined forces to launch the Out of Bounds campaign. The movement is urging black student athletes, fans, and alumni to boycott athletic programs at major universities across 8 southern states. We got Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. The suggested boycott comes on the heels of the Supreme Court's 6-3 ruling against racial gerrymandering. And in a 60-year tradition, so far the NC2A has not issued any major public response to the probable boycott. The big question now is whether this pressure campaign gains momentum or fizzles out before football season kicks off in the fall. Time will tell. Today we'll be hearing opinions from NFL star turned Fox News contributor Jack Brewer, Sonny Holston, and Stephen A. Smith. Stay tuned because we have a lot to unpack. Here we go.
The NAACP is calling for black student athletes and fans to boycott Southern college sports programs amid redistricting backlash. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and NAACP CEO Derek Johnson urging the boycott during a press conference. Listen.
We decided to take this course of action because we see this course of action be successful in the past.
In the absence of fairness as it relates to black political representation, there should be no athletic participation as it relates to institutions that are housed in states that are experiencing a dramatic return to racially oppressive Jim Crow-like tactics.
Jack Brewer. And Jack, this is, of course, all over the Supreme Court's recent decision that bars states from using race as a predominant factor when it comes to redistricting. So what do you think about this? Should Southern schools be worried?
Not at all. I think this is ridiculous. I mean, you see them pandering to race, and you're putting into these young black boys' minds that they're victims. And that's what's happening with Hakeem Jeffries and his whole band of, I don't know, I call it foolishness. But it's just ridiculous to be talking about this. These are the issues that the NCAA is thinking about right now, heading into a football season. I mean, the NAACP, they profit off of this. They profit off of division. They profit off of a victimhood mentality that they're pushing to these kids. But they're not talking about the actual communities that are being represented. All these communities, the majority of them are these districts or poor. Majority of these districts have poor education that they're sticking these same kids in.
Jack said he's not worried about this out of bounds campaign at all. He thinks it's ridiculous to try to put it in these young men's minds that they are victims because of these redistricting laws. Think about that for a minute. Instead of focusing on this crap, they should be preparing for the upcoming season instead. Do me a favor, folks. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel so YouTube can get these videos out to others. And comment below so we can all stay in the loop. Let's get back to the show so we can decide if they should boycott or not. Let's continue.
These kids are having to overcome from living in these districts. They have to be, the cream of the crop. They got to make sure they stay out of trouble because they got drugs infested in their communities. They're reading the math proficiency level in the schools that they're going to, in these same districts that they're talking about, are in the tanks. And so they're not talking about that, though. Instead of the elected officials being in the school system trying to fix it, or being in the criminal justice system trying to bring rehabilitation program to all these fatherless kids, they don't talk about that. They're talking about pushing the cream of the crop, which are the NFL players or the NCAA players and the Major League Baseball players and the kids that are coming out to play basketball. They're going to take those kids that have already overcome and they're going to use them as their pawns. It's not right. Something needs to happen in this country right now. I'm going into juveniles. I'm going into the prisons and seeing really the effects of these policies that these Democrats are pushing, and it's sickening.
So it sounds like this is a call for schools and students to put pressure on the Supreme Court to change its mind. In what world will that happen? I mean, what is the real goal here? Final thoughts to you on this.
The goal is to stir up this country. They want division. They want these kids, protesting America and hating this nation. That's what they want. They're not talking about celebrating the successes of these young men. That's their goal. Their goal is chaos. They make money off chaos. They keep power off of chaos. And if we come bring conservative values, which we need back into these communities, when we need to bring conservative values, people need to get married again. Men need to be in their kids' lives again. That's what we need in these communities. We do not need this woke liberal mentality that is causing our kids to live in poverty and causing our communities to be in utter chaos. It needs to end.
I think Jack made some great points in that last segment. I'll give my opinion on what he had to say towards the end of this video. So be sure to stick around to the end because you don't want to miss it. Up next, we got the views on Whoopi Goldberg and Sunny Hostin discussing this important issue. Now keep in mind, Sunny never, ever shies away from an opportunity to make some of the most asinine statements ever heard in the history of television. And this time was no exception either. Take a look.
Following the recent Supreme Court decision on congressional redistricting in southern states, Hakeem Jeffries is supporting the NAACP's Out of Bounds campaign. It urges black athletes to boycott sports programs at southern universities. So this could have a huge impact on college sports programs in the South. But is it putting a little too much burden on the students?
I think that there has to be strategy. I mean, athletes have been involved in protests and politics for a long time.
Right. Yeah.
Remember the Olympics, and you had
Right.
John Carlos, and you had Muhammad Ali. But these were athletes that were established already. These college athletes stand to get a free education. They stand to make money because of the NIL now. And so I think it is asking a lot. But I think it's economic damage and economic harm has long time been a very effective tool in the civil rights movement.
Resistance has a price.
Well, okay. Sonny strikes again. So let me get this straight. This moment is supposed to compare to Jesse Owens confronting Nazi Germany on the world stage at the 1936 Olympics, with Adolf Hitler present. Or how about Tommy Smith and John Carlos in Mexico City, 1968, turning an Olympic medal ceremony into one of the most iconic protest images ever? Or maybe it's even bigger than Bill Russell, Jim Brown, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar standing with Muhammad Ali against him fighting in the Vietnam War in his prime. Look, I have a fantastic idea, Sonny. Since this racial gerrymandering moment calls for black unity, even if it causes What she say? Economic damage or economic harm? How about you and other whack jobs who think just like you join forces with the Congressional Black Caucus and the NAACP and do it first? Give up your opportunity to make millions, just like you're asking these young black men and women to do. But you'll never, ever do it, will you? Not in a million years. Y'all just need someone else to do your dirty work. Once again, while you sit on the sidelines and laugh at them for being stupid enough to have Lucy pull the football away again. Damn shame. Next, Stephen A.
My question is, why are you coming to these athletes? For the first time in history, we've got name, image, likeness. You just finished saying that these institutions generate in excess of $100 million annually via national television deals and the like. You're just finished saying that. That's what you said. National television deals, alumni donations, merchandise sales, ticket sales. And for the first time, the black athlete, which makes up anywhere from 60 to 70% of the participants in a major college sports, which is football and basketball, have an opportunity to literally redistribute wealth on behalf of themselves and their families for the first time in history. And now you come to them because of an issue you didn't handle. Where the hell y'all been? Where you been at?
I remember not too long ago, Stephen A. avoided speaking like this to Democrats. But I think he's been observing the way they move since Trump won re-election. I think it caused him to change his tune. Not to mention, he admits out loud on TV that he voted for Kamala Harris.
Because none of us just live in a silo. Everything is in context. My mother she would give us a hard time sometimes, and she would say to us, I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context.
The black athlete that grows up poor at a decisive economic disadvantage, who's positioned themselves as talent to go out there front and center and capitalize off of that monetarily for the first time in our history. Nothing should get in the way of that. Nothing, including this issue involving black legislators, the NAACP, the American Civil Liberties Union, and beyond. Find another way. You know what it does for an elite athlete to play for Kirby Smart at Georgia? To play at Alabama? To play with Steve Sarkisian, with Arch Manning as your quarterback, making $5 million a year at least, by the way, if not more, with the NIL? You know what it's like for a black athlete to be at Texas or Texas A&M? That's oil money down there. If you had the potential to literally pocket millions of dollars playing a sport you love for a particular program, would you want somebody coming to you asking you to jeopardize all of that because of a mapping, a redistricting, and gerrymandering issue and foray and battle you participated in for decades, but you just happen to be losing right now? Would you want that? We know the answer. Leave them alone. Figure out another way.
Now, thinking back to earlier in this video, Carly asked Jack, is this a call for the universities and students to put pressure on the Supreme Court to get them to change their mind? In what world would that actually happen? What's the goal here? And Jack said, the goal is division, to get these kids protesting and hating American exceptionalism. Their goal is chaos, to make money off the misery of others. And I agree with Jack 100%. I mean, think about it. And listening to Stephen A. and Jack Brewer, these Democrats want these student athletes to think they're in the same fight as Muhammad Ali and Jesse Owens, which is completely idiotic and off the rails. The Democrats are lashing out only because they can't get away with racial gerrymandering and tipping the scale in their favor for another 60 years in order to keep power. That's really what this is all about. These student athletes have such a very small window to compete at the highest level, to show professional scouts and organizations they have what it takes for them to invest millions of dollars into their future as an athlete. And for these so-called Democrat leaders to ask them to sacrifice all that over this, give me a break. That's truly what's out of bounds. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future updates. And leave comments below so we can get to the bottom of this crap. Thank you all for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.